Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack compelling ideas, give you those vital insights you need to really grasp them. Today, we're diving into something, well, pretty powerful, actually, a concept that can profoundly shift how you see the world and, your place in it. It's the abundance mindset. So, our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to define exactly what this abundance mindset is. We'll contrast it sharply with its opposite, scarcity. We'll trace its roots psychologically and maybe even further back. Then we'll get into actionable strategies, things you can actually do to cultivate it. We'll look at the real-world impact, too, across different areas. And, this is important, we'll critically examine its nuances, its potential pitfalls. The goal, for you to walk away not just informed, but maybe with a truly transformative lens for how you perceive things and how you act.
Yeah, and for this, we've drawn on a really comprehensive report about mindset cultivation. Plus, we've pulled in some other sources that add, well, depth and different angles. You'll see it's quite a multifaceted idea we're exploring today. Touches on everything from, like, your personal psychology right through to how whole organizations function.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If we strip away the jargon, what's really at the heart of this abundance mindset? Fundamentally, it's a paradigm, right? Rooted in this belief that there are ample resources, opportunities, success, fulfillment, basically, enough for everyone. It's way more than just, thinking positively. It really acts as a transformative lens, changes how you see and respond to the world.
Exactly. And what's key here, I think, is that it flows from a deep inner sense of your own personal worth and security. It means you're kind of operating from a place of internal stability, not constantly feeling like you need something from the outside. And that naturally shifts your focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From what might be lacking to what you actually possess. It promotes, well, proactive engagement with life. You're not just reacting out of fear.
It's so easy to mix up this scarcity mindset, this pattern of thinking, with actual scarcity. And that's a really crucial difference, isn't it?
Absolutely crucial.
Because real scarcity, that's a genuine lack. Not enough food, shelter, whatever. Objective reality. But the scarcity mindset, that's more like a cognitive filter. It can hang around even when your basic needs are totally met. It's all about the internal framing, not necessarily what's happening outside. I mean, sometimes if I can't find my keys in the morning, my whole day feels scarce. That's the mindset kicking in.
Yeah, exactly. It's that internal lens. And that brings us to what some people call the Great Divide. Think about it like this. Scarcity mindset. It operates like a zero-sum game. Life's a finite pie. If someone gets a slice, that's less for me. But the abundance mindset, totally different. It's all about growing the pie, believing that creativity, cooperation, they can actually create more value for everyone. And this difference shows up in our emotions too, profoundly. Scarcity tends to bring fear, anxiety, envy, maybe guilt, anger, whereas abundance, that fosters excitement, motivation, confidence, and importantly, gratitude. You see it in behaviors as well. Someone stuck in scarcity might hoard things, their time, information, maybe even recognition or talent. They might be reluctant to invest in growth, or even subtly trying to undermine competitors. Decisions often feel hasty, fear-driven. But an abundant thinker, they tend to share more freely. They invest in growth. They collaborate. They can genuinely celebrate when others succeed. They're often more willing to take calculated risks, too. It even shows up in the language people use. It's quite subtle sometimes. The language of scarcity uses words like costs, transactions, clients, employees, security. But the language of abundance might reframe those, talking about investments, transformations, multipliers, teamwork, opportunity. See the difference?
It really sounds like a trap. This self-perpetuating cycle of, negative outcomes. If you believe there isn't enough, you make decisions based on fear.
Right.
Which can actually create a reality where there is less, which then just confirms your original belief. It's circular. But I wonder, is there ever a time when maybe a scarcity mentality could, serve us, like in a genuine survival situation, perhaps, before we can embrace abundance?
That's a really good question. And yeah, we'll definitely touch on that complexity later when we look at the critical perspective. But for now, when it's just a mindset disconnected from reality, it's a profound trap.
Tracing where these ideas really came into, like the modern conversation is fascinating. Wasn't it Stephen R. Covey who really popularized the terms abundance mentality and scarcity mentality back in '89 with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Absolutely. Most people know the 7 habits, and especially think win-win.
Oh.
But what's often missed is how foundational the abundance mentality was to that specific habit for Covey. He basically argued you can't consistently achieve win-win, seeking mutual benefit in your interactions, unless you first genuinely believe there's plenty out there for everybody. Well, Without that core belief, he said, you'll just default back to competition, win-lose, or maybe compromise lose-win. He actually identified 3 key character traits needed for win-win. First was integrity, aligning your actions with your values. Second, maturity, which he defined as balancing courage, like speaking your mind with consideration for others. And third, crucially, the abundance mentality, that bedrock belief that mutual benefit isn't just nice, it's actually possible.
And what's really striking is how old this idea might be, way beyond Covey or modern psychology. You find echoes in ancient wisdom, don't you? Lao Tzu saying, when you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. And some ancient Indian texts like the Upanishads have lines like, in the beginning there was only abundance. It really suggests this isn't some new fad, but maybe a timeless human insight, right?
It certainly feels that way. And, if we connect this to established psychology, it gets even more compelling. We've probably all heard of Albert Bandura and self-efficacy, that belief in your own ability to achieve goals. What's interesting here with abundance is how a scarcity mindset can actively undermine that self-efficacy. Makes you feel less capable. But an abundance mindset, it naturally comes with stronger self-efficacy. You believe you can do things, and this ties directly into your locus of control. Where you feel control lies. Scarcity often goes hand in hand with an external locus, blaming luck, fate, other people. Abundance involves shifting towards an internal locus, taking responsibility, focusing on what you can influence. Then there's the whole comparison trap. Leon Festinger's social comparison theory helps explain this. Basically, we humans instinctively figure out our own standing by comparing ourselves to others. It's just what we do. But when you constantly engage in upward social comparison, always looking at people seemingly better off, it just fuels that scarcity feeling. You start thinking their success somehow diminishes your potential share, leads to envy, resentment.
Oh yeah, especially with social media, right? All those perfectly curated lives.
Exactly, it's comparison on steroids.
Right. And the antidote there is, well, it's simple but not easy, is it? It's about consciously reframing, seeing other success not as a threat, but as inspiration.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Genuinely celebrating their achievements. That reinforces the idea that success isn't some limited commodity.
And focusing on your own path with gratitude for what you have, that helps you step out of the trap.
And this brings us to a really critical concept. Enough. There's some interesting work by Adele Dowd on scarcity, abundance, and sufficiency, the SAS framework. It makes this crucial distinction. True abundance isn't just about having tons of stuff. It's about cultivating sufficiency. Realizing you have enough right now instead of constantly chasing more because you feel like you're lacking something inside.
Okay. So the paradox is abundance starts not with getting more, but with appreciating what you've already got.
That's the core idea. That relentless pursuit of more from a place of inner lack, that never enough feeling. That's still scarcity thinking, just maybe on a bigger scale. True abundance, it seems, flows from that inner sense of worth, knowing you are enough, you have enough right now. And underpinning all of this scientifically is neuroplasticity, the brain's amazing ability to reorganize itself. Think of it like, forging a new path through a dense forest. At first it's hard work, but the more you use it, the clearer it gets. Cultivating an abundance mindset is kind of like deliberate brain training. When you consistently practice new ways of thinking, like say, actively looking for the good in a situation, instead of defaulting to criticism, you literally strengthen those neural pathways. Over time, appreciation or seeing opportunity can become your brain's new, more automatic response.
Wow. So what you're saying is it means your brain can literally be rewired for abundance.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's not just a nice philosophy. It's actually a trainable skill, something you can develop. Okay, we've talked a lot about what it is, where it comes from. But the big question for anyone listening is always, okay, how do I actually do this? Let's dive into some practical steps. Where do we start? What are the foundations?
Well, first, gratitude seems absolutely key. And this isn't just like saying thanks politely. It's a deliberate effort, right? To recognize and really appreciate the good things in your life, big or small. Maybe keeping a daily gratitude journal. Or just starting the day reflecting on a few things you're thankful for. Even just remembering past desires you now have, that counts too. Then there's generosity. This one might feel a bit counterintuitive at first, but giving freely your time, knowledge, skills, even just a genuine compliment or a kindness, it's a powerful act of self-reinforcement.
By giving, you're basically demonstrating to your own brain, hey, I'm already abundant, I have more than enough to share. It helps reprogram that internal story from lack to overflow, creates a positive feedback loop, builds connection. And third, mindfulness. Seems crucial too. A scarcity mindset often gets stuck dwelling on past regrets or future worries, right? That constant loop of what if or if only.
Yeah, the mental chatter.
Exactly. But abundance is more grounded in the present. So techniques like meditation, deep breathing, just noticing your surroundings, they help anchor you. They quiet that mental chatter of lack and worry.
Yeah, those three, gratitude, generosity, mindfulness, they really work together synergistically. They build this durable foundation for an abundance mindset. They're not just separate techniques. They're like interconnected pillars supporting the whole thing.
Okay, so beyond those foundational practices, what's next? We get into cognitive restructuring, right? This means actively looking for those subconscious limiting beliefs, those automatic negative thoughts.
Like, I never have enough time, or I'm just not good enough for that, or success like that isn't for people like me.
Right, and once you spot them, you have to consciously challenge them, reframe them. So I don't have enough time could become what? I have enough time to prioritize what truly matters.
Exactly. It's about deliberately shifting from feeling powerless to seeing possibility.
Affirmations can play a role here too, can't they?
They can, if used consistently.
Repeating positive statements like, I am open to receiving abundance, or thank you for the opportunities flowing into my life. It starts to reprogram those habitual thought patterns. But the key is consistent, heartfelt practice, right? Until the new thoughts feel more natural. And it's not just about thinking differently, is it? We also need to act differently. Behavioral activation.
Yes, putting the mindset into action reinforces it.
So one big shift is moving from competition to collaboration. Actively looking for partnerships, sharing info, aiming for those win-win outcomes. That demonstrates you believe collective success boosts everyone, including you. Also, consciously practicing celebrating others' success instead of that little pang of envy, which is natural sometimes, making a genuine effort to feel inspired by them.
Applauding their wins.
Yeah. It reinforces that success isn't finite. There's enough for everyone. And crucially, adopting a growth orientation.
Meaning being willing to learn new things, seeing failure not as the end, but as a stepping stone.
Taking calculated risks,
Yeah.
engaging proactively with challenges. It shows you believe in possibilities, in growth. Finally, creating an abundant environment. This sounds important.
It really is. Mindsets can be contagious, for better or worse.
So consciously choose to surround yourself with abundant thinkers, people who are positive influences, mentors, supportive communities.
Exactly. Their perspective can rub off. And also curate your information diet. Be mindful of what you consume. Limit exposure to constant negativity, cynicism, stuff that just drains your energy and reinforces scarcity.
Right. Your environment is like the soil for your mindset. Needs to be fertile ground. You know, it's interesting how often abundance mindset gets talked about alongside other self-help or psychology concepts. Let's clarify some of those connections and differences. First up, abundance versus growth mindset. People mix these up all the time.
They do, but they are distinct. Carol Dweck's growth mindset, that's an internal belief about your own capabilities. The idea that your abilities aren't fixed, they can be developed.
Okay. And abundance mindset.
That's more of a perceptual belief about the external world, that resources, opportunities, they're plentiful out there for everyone.
Oh, I see. So they work together.
Beautifully. Abundance gives you the why opportunities exist. Growth gives you the how you believe you can develop the skills to grab them.
Like abundance sees a big pie and growth believes you can learn to bake better.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
Okay, what about abundance versus optimism?
Also related, but different. Optimism is more of a general hopeful outlook, expecting good future outcomes.
Okay.
Abundance mindset is more specific. It's a belief about the nature of resources, that they are plentiful, maybe even expanding.
So an optimist might hope they get the promotion, seeing it as a single prize?
Right. Whereas an abundance thinker might see multiple potential paths, multiple opportunities. They could genuinely be happy for a colleague who gets that specific job, trusting another great opportunity will arise for them. It's less zero-sum.
And finally, abundance versus the law of attraction. This comes up a lot.
The abundance mindset, as we've discussed, is primarily a psychological framework. Its power comes from how it changes your internal state, reducing fear, boosting creativity, fostering collaboration, motivating you to act.
Okay. And the law of attraction.
That's generally understood as more of a metaphysical or spiritual principle. The idea of like attracts like, that your thoughts emit frequencies that draw similar experiences to you.
So a key difference is the emphasis on action.
I think that's a fair distinction. The abundance mindset intrinsically motivates proactive behavior. Some interpretations of the law of attraction can sometimes seem to de-emphasize the need for concrete action, focusing more purely on thought or vibration. And, comparing these frameworks, it brings up a really relevant point. If you look at the empirical support behind them, it varies, which raises an important question for you listening. What does this actually mean for applying it, for real-world results?
Good question. Let's look at some concrete evidence then. Where do we see this mindset making a tangible difference? Well, think about the abundant entrepreneur. What traits do they often share? Innovative, growth-focused, collaborative, resilient. They see opportunities where others see problems.
Yeah, think of someone like Oprah Winfrey, consistently focused on possibilities, uplifting others, genuinely seemed to believe there was enough success for everyone.
Or Richard Branson, famous for turning problems into opportunities, right? Seeing failures as just learning steps, surrounding himself with positive people.
Sarah Blakely, who founded Spanx, she talks a lot about embracing learning from failure, which allowed her to take those huge risks early on.
And often, these types focus on creating wealth in a broader sense, time, purpose, impact, not just chasing status or money alone. Then there's the abundant leader.
These are leaders who create environments where people thrive. They focus on win-win, they share recognition, they invest in developing their people.
They build trust, transparency, give autonomy, create psychological safety, right? So people feel safe proposing bold ideas, taking risks without fear of blame.
Exactly. A great example often cited is Doug Conant when he was CEO at Campbell Soup Company. He shifted the culture away from this shareholders or employees kind of thinking towards caring for all stakeholders, led to a massive cultural turnaround and revitalization of the company.
And what about on a personal level? Abundance and financial well-being.
It can have a huge impact there too. Often it starts with unpacking and rewriting those old limiting, muddy stories we might carry from childhood.
You mean like feeling guilty about spending or always fearing there won't be enough?
Precisely. Shifting that mindset can significantly reduce financial stress and anxiety, leads to that feeling of enough.
And that changes behavior, presumably.
Yes. More conscious spending, maybe building savings without constant fear, feeling empowered to invest in growth, whether that's education or a business idea.
I remember hearing someone talk about reframing their emergency fund. They started calling it an abundance fund or opportunity fund. Change the whole energy around it.
That's a perfect example of the language shift. We even saw a story, I think it was on Reddit, where someone described how shifting from deep-seated lack and fear to believing in their own capability to generate resources flipped their situation around completely.
And it often leads to redefining wealth itself, doesn't it? Beyond just the bank balance, to include time, freedom, health, purpose.
Absolutely.
And when you scale this up, you get the abundant organization.
Which could be a huge competitive advantage these days.
These are cultures that encourage collaboration, authenticity, even vulnerability. Innovation thrives because failure is reframed as part of learning. They tend to be more inclusive.
And the data backs this up. Studies show companies with positive, abundant cultures often have higher revenue growth, better productivity, lower employee turnover, greater customer satisfaction.
I saw a Forrester study mentioning something like a 311% ROI from investing in positive culture.
It's significant, and employees are far more likely to stay. One logistics company, ODW Logistics, apparently cut turnover drastically by focusing on culture.
You think of places like Pixar, known for collaborative creativity and psychological safety, or Southwest Airlines with its legendary employee-first, fun-loving culture. They seem to embody these principles, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah.
And it drives their success. Okay, so the benefits seem pretty compelling, but, and this is a big but, it's really crucial we approach this with nuance. We need to avoid common misinterpretations, acknowledge the limitations. This raises a really important question. How do we apply this concept wisely? One major pitfall is stumbling into toxic positivity.
Ah, yes. Heard that term.
It's this harmful idea that you must be positive all the time, no matter what, that you should ignore or suppress pain, suffering, real lack.
Which can feel really invalidating and silencing if you're genuinely struggling, right?
Exactly. Messages like just stay positive can be deeply unhelpful.
Right.
And also slide into victim blaming. Oh, you're struggling. It must be your fault for not thinking abundantly enough. Completely ignoring complex external realities.
And I've seen it used almost as a sales tactic sometimes. Like, your reluctance to buy this just shows your scarcity mindset.
Yes, that's weaponizing the concept and is not helpful at all. It's also vital, absolutely vital, to acknowledge privilege and systemic barriers. Well, Let's be honest, cultivating an abundance mindset is a lot easier when your basic needs are securely met. Safety, shelter, food.
Right. If you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, just shift your mindset. Feels inadequate.
It can feel dismissive, even insulting. For people facing systemic poverty, crippling debt, discrimination, these are real external barriers. Overemphasizing the individual mindset risks completely obscuring the profound impact of structural inequalities, economic systems that create genuine limitations for many people. And linked to that, we have to recognize when scarcity is objectively real.
The difference between the mindset and the actual condition.
Precisely. There's a crucial distinction. Research actually shows that experiencing genuine material deprivation consumes huge amounts of mental bandwidth. It creates what psychologists call tunnel vision.
Where you can only focus on immediate survival needs.
Exactly. Your cognitive function is literally reduced because your brain is just trying to cope with immediate threats. For someone in that situation, focusing on survival is entirely rational. It's not a character flaw or a mindset failure.
So the abundance mindset is more like a higher level tool. Most effective once you have some baseline safety.
I think that's a fair way to put it.
Yeah.
It's most powerful when you have the breathing room to actually implement it. And finally, we need to consider the role of trauma and deeper psychological wounds.
How does that connect?
Well, what sometimes gets labeled as a scarcity mindset might actually be a symptom of unresolved trauma. Maybe money trauma from growing up in poverty or experiencing financial abuse or other adverse experiences.
Okay.
Trauma isn't just in the mind, it's embodied. The nervous system can get wired for survival, stuck in fight, flight, freeze mode, and that deep survival instinct, it often overrides attempts at just thinking positively.
So just repeating affirmations might not be enough in those cases.
Likely not. For deep-seated issues rooted in trauma, a more therapeutic approach is probably needed. Something that addresses the underlying wounds, helps regulate the nervous system, and builds a true, felt sense of safety before a cognitive mindset shift can really take root and stick.
That's such a critical layer of understanding. A truly abundant life isn't about pretending hardship doesn't exist. It involves this dynamic interplay, doesn't it? Between your internal mindset and your external reality. It requires believing in possibility, yes, but also acknowledging hardship with clarity and compassion. So let's try and summarize the core takeaway from our deep dive for you listening. The abundance mindset. It's a powerful, psychologically grounded practice. It really can enhance well-being, unlock potential. It's about making that shift from fear-based competition towards creative collaboration, from anxious hoarding towards, well, generative sharing.
And this is key, it has to be approached with wisdom and authenticity.
All right.
We need to steer clear of toxic positivity. We must recognize privilege and systemic issues, distinguish the mindset from real material scarcity, and acknowledge that sometimes deeper healing from trauma is the necessary first step before this kind of mindset work can be truly effective.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. How might a clear-eyed understanding of both abundance and its limitations empower you? Empower you not just to thrive personally, but maybe also to contribute in some way to a world where more people have the basic security and opportunity needed to cultivate their own sense of enough. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.